week's episode of One Piece, the Tontada tribe show their loyalty and dedication to King Riku as they put their lives on the line to save the Dressrosa Kingdom. This week's episode was a lot of fun. It had a lot of cool action, even a short scene where Zoro was fighting against Pika. But one of the highlights, I think, is getting to see Gladius in action, who I feel is one of the more underused of Doflamingo's family, and his unique design combined with his powers to make things explode make him a real loose cannon and a pretty funny character to boot. But he also happens to be very devastating in battle as he takes out those two Tontada tribe members with zero issues whatsoever, and he takes them out with no prejudice as well. He grabs both of them and then just makes them immediately explode, and it is so freaking ridiculous and overblown, and somehow they weren't blown to bits. I'm not sure what it is, but these little Tontada guys are tough as shit. Luckily, Luffy and Violet show up and they save the toy soldier, and then they do a little bit of a reconnaissance mission, seeing what Doflamingo is doing with Law and King Riku. When they finally cut back to the battle with Treble, Sugar, and the Tontada tribe, it's so depressing because there's just little dwarf and teddy bear bodies all over the place. It's both funny and kind of depressing at the same time. And again, these Tontada guys, they're tough as shit. They just keep getting up and fighting no matter what. And that includes Leo, who decides to get that weird little Tabasco ball that looks like a grape, and they're still going to try and feed that to Sugar so that they can save everybody who is transformed into a toy. But it's not going to work that easily. And it almost seems like it is going to work because Robin has basically been swayed by the Tontada tribe and she decides to help them out. And she uses her abilities to stop Treble and trick Sugar. But Sugar, all she has to do is touch one of Nico Robin's arms, and she suddenly transforms into a little ragdoll. And that was really freaky when that happened, because it just took like a split second for that to work, and it just shows you have to be really careful around Sugar. The episode ends with Treble going on a rampage, just throwing his snot all over the place, literally hawking loogies at the Tontada tribe, and then lighting them on fire to have a massive explosion. And the episode ends as he's literally getting ready to crush Leo with a massive rock. To be continued screen. So what's the rundown on this week's episode of One Piece? I thought it was a really good episode. I thought the pacing was actually pretty decent. I know a lot of people won't agree with me, but I just liked everything that was in this episode. It all worked. And I especially loved the reintroduction of Gladius. I just think he's a really cool character, and just his overall abilities are insane. I'm still not quite sure how they work, like how his body isn't harmed by the explosion, but then again, you know, Devil Fruit powers can really do whatever they want. They don't really have like a set limit or rules to what they can do, so I just can't wait to see him in action a little bit more. I like how they're always occasionally going back to Zoro and Pika, because that's just such an epic battle. And it's a really tough battle because, you know, you don't really know where to attack him, and Zoro is having a hard time with that as well, and considering he's a man with no direction, you know, that's just the way it goes. Although, in the heat of battle, he certainly, you know, kicks a lot of ass. But the other things that were really cool about this week's episode is that it's really only a matter of time before Usopp is going to get involved. If you look for the preview of the next episode, it's obvious it's going to happen soon. It's just only a matter of time before Usopp is really going to show what he is made of in this arc. I'm really excited to see when that's going to happen, if it happens. The Tontada tribe are more than just the Ewoks of One Piece. They're certainly some really interesting characters, and they have a lot of heart. And I think they're adding a really nice element to this arc. But still, there's just so much more they can get back to. I still want to know what's going on in Kurita Coliseum, because there's some really interesting battles going on there. There's just so many elements to this arc, but this episode right here I still think was handled pretty well, just showing what's going on the inside of the invasion of Dressrosa. So it was a pretty good episode, very simple but nothing too mind-blowing, but one that you should definitely check out if you are a fan of the series. So, I'm going to give this week's episode a 3 out of 5, just a pretty good episode, but nothing too mind-blowing, but check it out if you're a big fan of the One Piece anime series. Thank you guys for watching my review. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. And before you leave, please tell me what you thought about this week's episode of One Piece. And what do you want to see from the rest of the Dressrosa arc? If you guys want to subscribe to our channel, you can do that by clicking on the channel icon up here. And you can also follow us on Facebook and on Twitter.